No romantic fiction, just rigorous historical and literary analysis.
Arrow 1. The Origins of the Archaic Monster, 8th to 7th century BC. Authors: Homer and Hesiod. Focus: Medusa as a primordial force of nature, a symbol of pure terror and divine genealogy. Odyssey, Book 11. Medusa. The earliest attestation of the Gorgon figure does not assign her a name or a history. Rather, it evokes her as an entity of absolute terror linked to the world of the dead. In Book 11 of the Odyssey, Odysseus finds himself at the edges of the world, in the land of the Cimmerians, to perform the rite of the Nekia, the summoning of the souls of the deceased. After digging a pit and filling it with libations and the blood of a ram and a black ewe, the souls of the dead gather, drawn by the blood. Odysseus converses with the shade of the seer Tiresias, who foretells his future, with his mother Anticlea, who reveals the situation in Ithaca, and with a host of heroes and heroines of the past, including Agamemnon, Achilles, and Ajax. As the crowd of shades continues to grow, a pale terror, chloron deos, seizes Odysseus. His fear is not directed at a physical monster or a mortal enemy, but at a threat emanating from the very depths of Hades. He fears that the revered Persephone, queen of the underworld, might send against him the head of the dreadful monster, the Gorgon, Gorgiein kephalein dinoio peloru. This fear is so potent and paralyzing that it compels him to immediately cease the ritual. He hastily returns to his ship and commands his companions to set sail, fleeing from that liminal place. In this context, the Gorgon is not a character, but an apotropaic power, a terrifying weapon in the hands of a chthonic deity, whose visage alone is sufficient to instill mortal horror and repel a hero of Odysseus's caliber.
Hesiod, 700 BCE. Theogony. With Hesiod, the figure of the Gorgon is integrated into a divine genealogy and a cosmic order. In the Theogony, the poem that systematizes the birth of the gods and the world, the Gorgons are presented as part of a lineage of monstrous creatures descending from primordial sea deities.
Subscribe to the channel.
Their lineage begins with Phorcys and Ceto, children of Pontus, the sea, and Gaia, the earth. From the union of Phorcys and Ceto are born the Graii, the old women, described as fair-cheeked but gray-haired from birth. Immediately thereafter, the poem introduces their sisters, the Gorgons, who dwell at the farthest ends of the world, beyond the glorious ocean, near the night, where the clear-voiced Hesperides are. Hesiod lists their names, establishing a fundamental distinction among them: Stheno, the strong; Euryale, the far-springer; and Medusa, the queen, or the protectress, defined as she who suffered grievous woes, Medusa hepathen algia lugra. Her defining characteristic is her mortality. While Stheno and Euryale are immortal and ageless, Medusa alone is fated to die. The poem then attests to Medusa's union with Poseidon, the blue-maned god. The act occurs in a soft meadow among spring flowers. The text makes no mention of a temple or an act of violence. It describes a divine union in a natural setting. Subsequently, her death at the hands of the hero Perseus is narrated, who severed her head from her neck. From her decapitated neck, at the very moment of death, spring forth two beings, Chrysaor, of the golden sword, and the horse Pegasus. The name Pegasus is linked to his birth near the springs, Pegos of ocean. As soon as he is born, Pegasus flies away, leaving the earth, and heads towards the abode of the immortals, where he serves Zeus by bringing him thunder and lightning. Chrysaor, in turn, unites with Calliope, daughter of Oceanus, and begets the three-headed giant Geryon, who will later be slain by Heracles. The death of Medusa, therefore, is not an end, but a generative event that gives rise to new mythical figures.
Towards the Classical Age. From the mists of the Archaic era, where Medusa existed as a primordial and monstrous entity, the myth now shifts into the pulsating heart of classical Greece. In the 5th century BC, the Gorgon ceases to be merely an object of terror, becoming vital subject matter for the great poets and tragedians of Athens. Here, the monster begins to speak, to suffer, and to transform into a potent artistic and political symbol. The evolution of the Medusa myth. 3 eras. The era of origins, Homer and Hesiod's Theogony. What we have explored today through the words of Homer and Hesiod's Theogony is the first era of Medusa, the era of origins. In this archaic phase, the Gorgon is not yet the victim of a transformation, but a primordial power. She is the ontological monster, a force of nature embodying pure terror, devoid of moral or aesthetic justifications. In Hesiod, as we have seen, Medusa is her lineage, a terrifying creature dwelling at the very edges of the known world. The second era, the drama of the tragedians. But myth is a living organism. In the next stage of our journey, we will enter the second era, that of Pindar and the great tragedians such as Aeschylus and Euripides. Here, the figure of Medusa undergoes a conceptual metamorphosis. She is no longer just a monster to be defeated, but a subject entering the realm of human drama. It is during this period that her iconography begins to be codified with serpents and grotesque features, while Greek theater starts to question the nature of her death, transforming horror into a tragic and visual narrative. The third era, Ovid's synthesis. Finally, we will conclude with the third era, dominated by Ovid's vision in his Metamorphoses and the mythographic syntheses of Pausanias and Pseudo-Apollodorus. This is where the Medusa the modern world remembers best is born, the beautiful maiden desecrated and punished by Athena. This is the era of psychological synthesis, where the monster becomes a victim and a symbol, a definitive transformation that shifts the myth's center of gravity from fear to pity, influencing art and culture to this day. Conclusion. Dividing the myth into these 3 eras is the only way to understand how an archaic image can evolve into a universal archetype without losing historical rigor. If the videos on the second and third eras are already available, you will find them now on the screen or in the first pinned comment. If you are following the series, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Our next videos are almost ready. Do not stop at the surface of the myth. Continue digging with me into the roots of our culture. I'll see you in the next era.
If this content pleased you, I invite you to like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next videos. Your support truly encourages me to keep creating content like this.